Ian McKelvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but I've listened tonight to a lot of unusual topics, and I hope the members on the other side of the House don't hate farmers, because I didn't come here to be hated. Thank you, Andrew. And I'm here to speak on the Crown Pastoral Land Rent for Pastoral Leases Amendment Bill, and I'll be very brief. And I've noticed a few interesting things tonight, and I think one of the things we need to be aware of, and in fact the savings put in place by the process we're about to enter into to negotiate these rents, will be significant. And I think just the fact... And interesting, Mr. Mallard talking about savings to the farmers, and I noticed the member for Hutt earlier in the night talking about the fact that I'm not sure he knew the difference between sheep and people. But clearly, when you look at Mr. Mallard, you can see the electricity radiating out from his suit, because obviously they don't use wool in their suits on the other side of the house, Mr. Chairman. I take it bet it's not. And so I think that that's the first issue I wanted to draw to our attention. But in fact, there will be significant savings. Made in the hut, made in the hut. And not necessarily made of wool, though, Mr. Chairman. But I think the savings in this should not be overlooked. They're absolutely significant, the savings that will occur in this. And I think the fact that half of these tenancies are in dispute at the moment is a significant factor that we need to consider as a government. And I think the cost of that is massive. So I think that's very important that we consider that. So the savings in this are pretty significant. I think the formula for setting rents in clause 23B of the Act are very clearly set out. I think they'll very clearly add some benefit to this, and I'm sure there will be some practical and positive outcomes from the way we set the rents as a result of this bill. I also believe that in this instance and in the course of the negotiation of these rentals, the environmental status of this land will be certainly paid attention to. And I think if you think about how farmland works, or how farming works in New Zealand, the care of the environment is absolutely critical to the future of our farmland, whether it's high country in the South Island, whether it's high country or hill country in the North Island, whether it's dairy farming in Taranaki. It's all the same. So I'm sure that the capacity to manage the environmental factors in the course of this rent-setting process will be very positively dealt with. So, Mr. Chairman, I think a very positive progress this bill makes for both the government and the country, and I think for the future of our high country it also certainly improves that. And I just had to comment on something Mr. O'Connor said. He talked about the sheep in 1650. Well, of course, in 1650 the sheep were very like the rabbits we have in the high country today. Before the advent of Robert Bakewell, of course, the sheep weren't much bigger than a rabbit. And I think that's worth recognising. So if you go back to the... Clearly Mr. O'Connor could, because I can't either. So Mr. Chair, I just wanted to conclude by saying I think it's very positive, and I'm very pleased that to be able to support this, and also to support both the high country farmers of the South Island, and as Mr. O'Connor again put it, they're as unique as the land is, and I think it's pretty special that we can support that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'll put the questions. The first question is that part one stand part. Those of that opinion. Is what? Sorry, Stephen Browning, you're what? Seeking a call? Or?
Yes, I am.
Stephen Browning.
Yes, I was